Nothing in your life happens by accident. Not this video, not this moment, not the restless feeling that made you click. 3 days from now, when understanding arrives, you'll look back at right now and finally see why. There's something most people don't understand about how reality actually works. They think they're searching for answers, actively hunting through information, making choices about what to read and watch and learn. But that's not what's happening. What's really happening is the opposite. Information finds you, answers arrive. The right thing appears exactly when you're ready to receive it, not a moment before. You didn't find this video, it found you. Think about the last time something changed your perspective completely. A conversation, a book, something someone said that landed differently than it would have a month earlier. Did you go looking for it? Probably not. It just showed up. Right person, right moment, right words. And in that instant, something clicked. Not because the information was new, maybe you'd heard similar things before, but because this time, you were ready. That readiness, that openness, it's not something you can force. It builds quietly, beneath your awareness, like water rising behind a dam. You don't notice it accumulating. Then one day, the dam breaks, and everything floods through at once. Suddenly you understand what you couldn't grasp before. Suddenly the pattern is obvious. Suddenly you see connections you were blind to yesterday. Reality operates on a matching principle. What you're ready for comes to you. What you're not ready for passes right by. Invisible. Even if it's standing directly in front of you. Two people can hear the exact same sentence, and one person's life changes while the other forgets it. 5 minutes later. Same words, different readiness, different results. So when something captures your attention without effort, when you feel pulled toward information you can't quite explain, when you keep watching, even though your logical mind says it doesn't matter, pay attention. That pull, that curiosity, that strange sense of recognition, it's not random. It's the universe matching frequency with where you are right now. It's reality saying, you're ready for this. Here it is. Most people ignore these moments. They dismiss the feeling as coincidence, as boredom, as distraction. They click away, keep scrolling, move on to the next thing. And they never know what they almost understood, never see the door that briefly opened before closing again. But you're still here. You're still listening. That means something. There's a rhythm to how transformation happens. It's not immediate. It's not explosive. It's gradual, layered, like developing a photograph in chemicals. First exposure to light, then time in the dark. Then slowly the image emerges. 3 days, that's usually how long it takes. Why 3 days specifically? Because consciousness doesn't work in straight lines. Understanding moves through you in waves. The first wave is contact. You encounter the information. The second wave is integration. Your mind works on it while you sleep, while you think you're doing other things. The third wave is realization. Suddenly you know. Not because someone told you, but because you see it yourself. Day 1, you hear something, and it sounds interesting but abstract. Day 2, you notice things that relate to it, patterns you hadn't seen before. Day 3, you wake up, or you're driving, or you're making coffee, and it hits you. The full understanding, the complete picture. Ah, this is what that meant. 3 days from now, you'll remember this moment. You'll think back to right now, Friday afternoon, listening to these words, and you'll understand why you couldn't stop watching, why something in you recognized this as important before your thinking mind had any reason to believe it was. Because your deeper awareness is already 3 days ahead. It already knows what you're about to discover. It already sees the shift coming. Your conscious mind is just catching up, trying to make sense of the pull, the curiosity, the feeling that something significant is happening, even though nothing obvious has changed. Nothing obvious has changed. Yet, by the way, our shared space of light and awareness is on its way to 100,000 people. Thank you to everyone who subscribes and brings this moment closer. There's a version of you 3 days from now who understands things you don't understand yet. That version is calmer, clearer, more certain. Small things that confuse you now make perfect sense then. Decisions that feel impossible now feel obvious then. The fog lifts. The path becomes visible. That future version of you is trying to communicate backward through time. Not with words, not with clear instructions, but through feeling, through pull, through the inexplicable sense that this matters, that you should pay attention, that something is beginning. You feel it right now, don't you? That subtle knowing underneath all the thinking. Your mind might be asking why you're still watching, what the point is, whether this is useful. But underneath that mental chatter, something quieter says, keep listening. This is for you. This is why you're here. Trust that quieter voice. It's smarter than your thinking mind. It operates on information your conscious awareness hasn't processed yet. It reads patterns in reality that logic can't detect. It knows things before you know them. People talk about intuition like it's mystical, magical, unreliable. But it's not. It's just faster processing. Your deeper awareness takes in millions of pieces of information every second. Energy, tone, context, patterns, connections. Your conscious mind can maybe handle 7 things at once. So by the time your thinking catches up and forms a logical explanation, your intuition has already run the numbers and reached a conclusion. That's why sometimes you just know things. You meet someone and instantly sense whether to trust them. You walk into a situation and feel it's wrong before anything bad happens. You think of someone seconds before they call. Not magic, just information your deeper self picked up on that your conscious mind hasn't articulated yet. Right now, your intuition brought you here. 3 days from now, your conscious mind will understand why. The shift happening in you isn't dramatic. You won't suddenly become a different person. You won't have visions or revelations or mystical experiences. It's quieter than that. More subtle. Like turning a dial 1 degree. Barely noticeable in the moment. But enough to change the entire trajectory. 1 degree different, and a plane ends up in a completely different city. 1 degree of perspective shift, and your whole life reorganises around a new understanding. Same external circumstances, different internal response, different meaning, different choices, different future. 3 days from now, that 1 degree shift completes. You'll look at something you've looked at 1,000 times before and suddenly see it differently. A relationship, a job, a habit, a belief about yourself. The thing itself hasn't changed. Your angle of perception has. And from this new angle, everything looks different. You can't force this. You can't think your way into it. The shift happens on its own timeline, at its own pace. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is just to stay open, to not dismiss what you're feeling, to let the process unfold. Most people resist this part. They want immediate results, instant clarity, transformation they can measure and control. But real change doesn't work like that. Real change is organic, gradual, inevitable. Once it begins, but impossible to rush. Seeds don't become trees overnight. Caterpillars don't skip the cocoon stage. You can't force a flower to bloom faster by pulling its petals open. You just have to trust the process. Water it. Give it light. Wait. You're in the cocoon stage right now. It feels like nothing's happening. It feels like you're just listening to words, just sitting here, just passing time. But underneath the surface, everything is rearranging, old patterns dissolving, new connections forming. The architecture of your understanding, rebuilding itself into something stronger, clearer, more aligned with what's actually true. In 3 days you emerge different, not because something was added to you, but because something false fell away, a misunderstanding you didn't know you were carrying, a limiting belief you didn't realize was limiting you, a story about reality that never quite fit but you believed it anyway, because everyone else seemed to believe it too. That story is dissolving right now as you listen to this. And 3 days from now, when it's completely gone, you'll wonder how you ever believed it in the first place. You'll look back and think, how did I not see this before? It's so obvious. But it wasn't obvious before. Before you weren't ready. Now you are. The universe doesn't waste energy. It doesn't send you information you can't use. It doesn't put things in your path that have nothing to do with where you're going. Everything that captures your attention is there for a reason. Every person you meet, every conversation you overhear, every video that mysteriously appears in your feed, all of it is part of a larger pattern you can't see yet, but will recognize later. This video appeared because you needed it, not wanted it, needed it. Some part of you, deeper than conscious thought, sent out a signal, a question without words, a reaching for something you couldn't name. And reality responded. It always does. It matched your frequency and delivered exactly what you were ready to receive. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. You just haven't been aware of the mechanism until now. 3 days from now, you'll be more aware, not just of this mechanism, but of how much is actually happening beneath the surface of your normal awareness. How much communication is occurring at levels you don't consciously track. How connected everything actually is. You'll start noticing synchronicities, not because they're suddenly happening more, but because you're finally paying attention. The right book appears on a shelf. The perfect person sits next to you on the train. You think of something, and an hour later, someone mentions it. Coincidence? No. Pattern? Conversation? Reality responding to what you're putting out. Most people go their whole lives thinking they're separate, isolated, randomly bouncing through a meaningless universe. They don't see the web of connection. They don't notice the conversation happening all around them. They don't realise they're always being guided, always being answered, always being shown the next step. But you're starting to see it. That's why this found you. That's why you're still here. You're ready to understand how it actually works. Not theoretically, practically. In your direct, lived experience, 3 days, that's all. 3 days and the shift completes. 3 days and what seems mysterious now becomes obvious. 3 days, and you look back at this exact moment and finally understand, oh, that's when it started. That's when I chose, even though I didn't know I was choosing. That's when the door opened. The door is open right now. You're already walking through it. You might not feel it yet, might not see the change, but it's happening. Every second you stay present with these words, every moment you allow the pull to keep you here instead of clicking away, you're saying yes. Yes to the shift. Yes to the understanding. Yes to seeing reality as it actually is instead of how you were taught to think it is. That yes matters more than you know. It's permission. Permission for your deeper awareness to bring forward what it's been holding back. Permission for understanding to surface. Permission for the transformation that's been waiting for exactly this moment, exactly this readiness to finally unfold. You gave permission. And all you have to do is wait. 3 days, just 3 days. And when understanding arrives, when you suddenly see clearly what was foggy before, you'll smile. Because you'll remember this moment. You'll remember the pull that kept you watching. You'll remember the feeling that this mattered, even when you couldn't explain why. And you'll know. You'll finally know. This wasn't random. This wasn't distraction. This wasn't coincidence. This was the moment. Everything changed. You just didn't recognize it yet. If something in you shifted while listening to this, if you feel something moving, even if you can't name it, write in the comments, I'm ready to see. Write it as your promise to yourself, to the version of you waiting 3 days from now. Nobody.